Hello everybody, and this is an update about what happened yesterday, like starting from the last video I posted, and I don't even want to get into this because it's not very nice what happened, but so the last video I posted was when the police were in my bedroom telling me they can't evict me. And basically the police were being really nice to me, and they said they made sure my landlord is gonna come back and make sure I have alternate accommodation because they're not allowed to evict me on the day for no reason. And so I go, okay, thank you. And then the landlord, I don't know if he's the landlord or whatever, but he basically said no, after that I was just chilling in my room, and then the landlord basically came in my room without knocking because he'd removed the lock, and he was I was recording him, and I was like, can you get out my room because I'm not changed, because I didn't even have proper clothes. I'm not going to be graphic, but I put my clothes in the washing machine and someone took them out, so I wasn't properly changed. So I go to him, can you get out while I pack my stuff? I don't want to be doing that in front of you and stuff. And he wouldn't really get out. He kept wedging the door open, and that's just what narcissists are like. They just don't respect your boundaries or what you want. But basically he was like, alright, he was like, we have to go to the council. I was like, the council aren't gonna do anything, because I know for a fact the council won't do anything. I've been dropped there before. And basically he was like, alright, I'm gonna drop you to another housing place. And I was like, okay. He was like, yeah, it's called blah blah blah, whatever. I was like, alright, let's go, get in your car. And he was like, no, we're not going in the car, we're just gonna walk there. I was like, okay, cool. And then I started packing up all of my stuff, the few stuff I had left. And then basically we left the room, he shut the door, he just started storming ahead. I was like, okay. I was recording the whole time. And he goes, alright, here you go, we're here now. And he just dropped me at some random house. I was like, okay, you're gonna make sure. I was like, is the office in here? It was just a house, a property with a let sign outside of it. And he was like, yeah, there's a room in this house. I've spoke to the company, so it's this house, definitely. He was like, and I was like, what do you mean? I was like, you're gonna make sure everything's okay. He was like, just call that number. He pointed to some random sign, a house to let sign. And he was like, just call them, I've spoken to them. So I go, and then he just stormed off. So I was like, okay. I called the number. They were like, oh, we don't speak to other companies. That's not us. We don't have any rooms available. But this guy had told me they have room. This is almost too ridiculous to believe, but I promise you this is true. And basically I was like, oh really, because someone from SmartMove just dropped me here and they told me they'd spoke to you. And anyway, I have this all on video as evidence to show I'm not lying. And then basically I was like, I wasn't even changed. I didn't know what to do because I've already called a lot of housing companies and no one was helping me. So I knocked on the door, and these random Indian guys opened the door, a group of them. And I walk in the house because I assumed he meant he must have made a mistake and meant that house was the house I was gonna move in. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was like, yeah, he probably meant I'm just meant to walk in this house. But I walked in the house, and all the guys in there were all occupying every single room. And I checked every room. I was like, yeah, I got told by SmartMove there's a room in this house. And I checked every single room. There was either like someone sleeping in the room, like someone chilling in the room, like every single room was like taken. And so I was like, they were like, yeah, all these rooms are taken. So I called their like housing company, and again they said they don't have rooms, they haven't spoke to any company or whatever. So it was just like a lie, basically, the same tactic as before. And so I asked them, I was like, do you have any trousers or anything I could buy, or like a hoodie, because I don't have my clothes on me. This company stripped me of all my belongings. And they wouldn't, at first they were like, no. They were being really, really rude. Like, I went into the bathroom to like call the company, and they were knocking on the bathroom, like forcing me to get out. They weren't being very like empathetic, and they wouldn't let me have clothes to get changed or anything. I had to like really keep asking them, and eventually they got me clothes, but like I didn't even want them anymore. So I left the house. I just said, all right, thank you, I don't want your clothes, I'm going. Shut the door. I walked out, like not knowing what I was gonna do. And what I did was I walked all the way to Aldi, and I bought like, I had to get maternity leggings because they didn't even have like regular leggings. And then I just got like food and stuff from Aldi because they gang stalk me with my food. I can't have other people touch my food or anything. So I have to go to like the self-service places and stuff like that, which is really like sad, but it's just true. It's what I have to do to protect myself, and otherwise I go to A&E, I get like moving around in my stomach and stuff. The witches put like astral entities in my food to hurt me, and no one should have to go through that, so I don't risk it. I don't have anyone cook for me, or even I don't have cashiers touch my food. And anyway, so I did that, and then I just like got changed quickly in like the Aldi toilet. Then I went outside to start making calls, and all of a sudden I entered like my phone passcode, which I know for a fact is my passcode. Like, I put it in every single day, and the passcode wasn't working. I go to charge my phone kept turning on and off, glitching out. I thought it wasn't even gonna turn on, and then yeah, I couldn't like access my phone. And I think what happened is my phone's been tapped. Someone has access to it from the inside, and they can like alter the settings on my phone as like a gang stalking tactic. And so I was looking around for like another phone shop. The whole time I was on the phone to like Mario's. Who is that guy I told you about. And he wants to be my fiancé, but he isn't. And after that, I had to call the police because I only had access to emergency numbers on my phone. So I told the police I'm a domestic violence victim and I've been evicted, and they told me I'm not allowed to be evicted and they need to get police to attend to me. And I was waiting outside someone's house on like a bench. On a bench in their front garden, and an old couple came and they were like, you can't sit here. And that's just how cold-hearted people are these days. They didn't They didn't even let me like sit on a bench by the house with what I was going through. And that's because we're in the end times, everyone's like extremely cold. But anyway, and I was just waiting in that area for the police to get there. And I called the police back a few hours later and I go, have cops been dispatched? Are they on their way? He was like, no. He got me to tell him the story. He was like, I'm not dispatching police. I was like, are you joking? I was like, I've had death threats in the area. It's not safe for me to be in this area. And you're telling me that, like, you're not going to dispatch any police? He was like, no, I don't think it's like a case for police. I was like, so again, that's just an entity that hopped onto that police officer who doesn't like me, probably the same person who evicted me. And so I knew at that point that police weren't going to help me. I didn't have a phone, and I had to like take control of things myself because no one was going to help me. You know, when they say the whole world will hate you for loving Jesus, that's what happened to me at that point. And basically, I just decided like I'm just gonna get on a bus because I didn't know what to do. And I basically got on a bus and just like all of a sudden I saw a train station, so I just like got off the bus and then I just got on like the first train. It was there like straight away. I didn't even have to get a ticket or anything. And like I was happy at that point because the train reminded me of Justin and I was like recording videos to him. So that was probably my happiest moment of the whole trip, the train thing. But after the train thing, I had to get off because the train terminated. I would have stayed on that for like 2 days if I could, but until Marius got here, but it terminated, so I just got off. And when I got off the train, I got changed on the train as well, and then this is still like daytime at this point, and I got off the train and there was a hotel right by the train station, and it was like one of the cheapest ones I know about in Birmingham. So I was like, God is good, this is predestined, I'm supposed to just get this hotel and everything's gonna be fine. And so I was feeling pretty good and I walked in. There was a lot of like young lads outside and stuff, and the minute I walked into the hotel, he goes, we don't have any rooms, get out. So I was like extremely angry. I thought he was just like lying. So I started insulting him and his appearance and stuff, and then I just chilled in like the courtyard and had a fag, and he came out, a gang stalker, and he was like, you can't chill here because they just watch me. The security always have their eye on me and stuff whenever I go places because it's gang stalking. And so I go, okay, bye. And then I just like charged my phone. I was on the phone to Marius, charging my phone and stuff, and in and out of the pubs, which were like extremely busy, which I don't like. So there was nowhere quiet really, and if there was somewhere quiet, I would have happily chilled there till like 3 a.m. or the whole night, but I don't like a lot of people around me. I like a few people I like, but I don't like a lot of strangers. So I didn't like it. I just thought I don't want to be in these busy areas with like everyone with their families and groups of friends and like. So I thought I'm either gonna like ask Marius to get me a hotel, or keep in mind I can't make any calls on my phone at this point. Like people can only make incoming calls to me. So my phone was like literally on really like about to die as well. So I had to like make a quick decision obviously because I wasn't about to go home with someone from the pub or something. in some kind of human trafficking scenario, and I thought I was either gonna get like another train and just stay on different trains, or get a train to my parents' town, but I'd already called them and they weren't interested in helping me, even though it's my birthday in a few days, and they're visiting me anyway. And so at that point, I didn't know if there was going to be any trains arriving, and I have cash on me at this point, but a lot of hotels don't accept that. So, and remember, I can only make police calls on my phone. So I saw like a bruise on my arm from a spiritual attack, and I'm pretty sure this specific one was from Satan. So I realized that I was being abused. He was the one who locked me out of the house. Whether it's Satan or Lilith, it doesn't matter, they're like the same. But so I realized he literally domestically abused me. He'd locked me out of the house. I had bruises. I know for a fact he's beating up Justin. So I just called the cops. I told them my ex-partner locked me out, because that's what he thinks. He obviously thinks I'm his ex-partner, and that's why he's locking me out. And I said I went back to that hotel where they declined me, and I said, you have to give me a room. I've been abused and I've been locked out. If you don't, you have to call the cops, because he's in the area, he follows me, which is all true actually, because he does follow me, he body hops, and he was in that area. There was a lot of like Satans around. And so the police arrived. The guy who I was rude to earlier was the one who was helping me. He was the one who called the police and everything. And I'm grateful to him for that. Especially after I was rude to him, he still called the police. So I respect him for that. But the police basically arrived and they gave me like a domestic violence number, and they asked if I wanted to get a restraining order like against the person, and they basically drove me around to a hotel. They went in with me, said I need a room, and this has happened to me before when I got death threats from someone, and the police got me they paid for a hotel with breakfast and everything. And this time the police went in, even though they were under the guise I'd been assaulted, and they asked if I could get a room. She said yeah, and I got my money out and everything, and as soon as the police left, she was like, no, you need 2 forms of photo ID. I was like, so obviously she was a demon, just lying, because hotels don't do that. This was like a travel lodge. So I went out, I ran to the police, I was like, she's not letting me have a room. They were like, this is the bruise, by the way, I have from a spiritual attack, but they were like, okay, well, we'll just, I was like, you have to ask her to do it. She was like, no. So they basically drove me to another hotel. I think this was like a Holiday Inn. And they said, no, the first one was a Holiday Inn, that other one was the travelling one. And this other one said that they only accepting card payments, and the police officer had a card, but he wouldn't use his card and take my cash or anything. And he said, like, they were about to leave me at that point, and then he said he's gonna try another place, one more place, and they took me to like this hotel spa, and it looked really like expensive on the outside, so I thought like they're gonna say no, and we went in, and they said if they don't accept me here, they're just ditching me. And remember, I don't know what area I'm in. I don't have a phone. I literally, even now, I don't know where I am or anything. So they told me they're just gonna like leave me after this. So I said to them, I'd rather be in a police cell for the night than you just leave me when I know who's in the area, when I know like what's been happening. They go, no, we're not putting you in a police cell, we're not putting you to a refuge or anything, we're just gonna leave you after this. I was like, I was like, alright, I'll assault one of you to get put in like a cell for the night. I was like how long would I be put in a cell for like assaulting one of you? She was like, I'm not telling you that because I just knew they were taking the piss. Like I knew for a fact the police have authority to get me a hotel room if they really want. Like they've done it before. I didn't have to show ID. They paid for it on Snow Hill. This is like a hotel in Birmingham connected to the police station. So I just knew they were just taking the piss and like laughing at me. So I said I was gonna assault one of them. And I basically said to them, like, I was speaking to the woman and I said something like, oh, myself. And it sounded like I was saying they're me, but I was like, neither of you are me. Because I wouldn't treat myself the way I got treated last night. And as soon as I said that, they were like, don't you dare talk to us like that. And they like stormed out, just ditched me. So I went to the till, I was like, can I get a hotel please? And I think the guy like felt sorry for me because he saw I had a bruise and stuff. And he was like, yeah. And he just accepted cash. And then it's like a few nights until Marius got here, but I could only really pay for like the night. In hindsight, I should have just paid for a few nights because I knew they'd gang stalk me and just like, and afterwards they would decide not to. So, which is what happened, but I got the night and everything, and it was like a really nice hotel. And then I went to go and pay for the other night until Marius gets here, and they said no, they're not gonna. So I just have to like chill in the lobby and